Okay, grade 12s, let's revise solving equations by using the quadratic formula. Okay, now if you were required to solve, let's have a look at an example here quickly. Let's take an example 1. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to solve this equation. I want to solve for x. Okay, and that's going to be x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. I want to solve for x. There's two ways you could do it. You could use the grade 10 method, where if you look at method 1, how would we approach that? We just simply use the method of factorization. So we've got x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. So factorize it. X minus 4 and x plus 2 is equal to 0. So then x is equal to 4, or x is equal to negative 2. That I'd encourage because it's an easy equation. Now, that's the first method, okay, of solving example 1. Now, what I want to show you is the quadratic formula approach. And how does that work? Okay, very simply put, method 2 is the quadratic formula. Now, whenever you have a trinomial or a quadratic equation that you're battling with, you can automatically use this formula effectively to solve the equation. Now, what did we do? We treat that as a equals 1. The negative 2 became b, if you remember from grade 11, and the negative 8 became c. And then we had a formula which we called the quadratic formula that looked like this: minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And all we needed to do is plug the value of a, b, and c into this formula. So let's see what we get. We get x is equal to minus, b is negative 2, so it's minus negative 2, plus minus the square root of the b squared, which is negative 2, so it's b squared, minus the 4, the a is 1, and the c is negative 8, all divided by 2 multiplied by a. Okay, so then this gave us x is equal to a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's 2 plus minus the square root. Okay, what is 4? Okay, minus 2 squared is 4, plus, okay, that's 4 times 8 is 32, minus and the minus is plus, so it's 4 plus 32, which is 36, divided by 2 times 1 is 2. The square root of 36 is equal to 6, so it's 2 plus minus 6, all over 2, and if you remember from grade 11, you can break it up into two solutions: 2 plus 6 over 2, or 2 minus 6 over 2. Okay, and that gives you x is equal to 8 over 2, which is 4, and 2 minus 6 is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. Now, those are the exact same solutions as if you were using the method 1, which of course is here, factorization. So I'd encourage factorization if it's easy, but you can quite easily use the quadratic formula. But where does the quadratic formula really feature? And they always ask this in the trick. It's in an equation like this. Now let's have a look at an example 2 quickly. In an example 2, where they say solve for x, so you've got to solve this equation or determine the roots of the equation rounded off to 2 decimal places, and they give you this equation: x multiplied by x minus 5 is equal to 2. So how did we approach it? Well, if we've got x into x minus 5 is equal to 2, well, the first thing we do is multiply out, so it gives you x squared minus 5x is equal to 2. Bring the 2 across, so it's x squared minus 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, and now the normal way of doing grade 10 factorization is not going to work, so we need the quadratic formula here. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to negative 2. So let's substitute into the formula. So x is equal to minus b, which is minus negative 5, plus minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 5 squared, b squared minus 4a and c, all divided by 2 multiplied by a. Okay, so what does this give us? This gives us x is equal to 5 plus minus the square root of 25 plus 8 is 33, if you work that out, over 2. Now, of course, you can't, if you think about this, there's no ways that you can work out the square root of 33 easily. So what we do need is we need a calculator to do it. And if you break it up into its two parts, or two solutions, we get x is 5 plus the square root of 33 over 2, or x is equal to 5 minus the square root of 33 over 2. Now these are referred to as irrational numbers, or surds, if you remember, and if by simply working them out in the calculator you can go 5,37, or x is equal to negative 0,37 there. Okay, you simply use a calculator to do that, and you have your answers rounded off to 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's quite important. I think that's time to explore another example quickly. Let's have a look. Okay, have a look at this example 3, and I want you to be able to solve for x. And I want you, so you're going to solve for x, but I want you to round your answers off to 2 decimal places where necessary. Okay, so the first equation is going to be x into x minus 9 plus 14 is equal to 0, and then we're going to be dealing with another equation, x into x minus 1 is equal to 3. Well, what about the first equation? Let's have a look at that. Well, if we look at this, we've got x squared minus 9x, if we multiply out, plus 14 is equal to 0. Now, the nice part of this is it's a straightforward quadratic equation, different signs, and it factorizes beautifully there. No problem. We can use grade 10 to help us, and I would suggest that you do that there. But in the B part of the question, here's a problem. If you multiply that out, you get x squared minus x is equal to 3, and we bring the 3 across. So it's x squared minus x minus 3 is 0. Your normal methods are not going to help you, so we go A, B, and C. Plug into the formula. X is minus b, which is minus negative 1, plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and then what do we get there? X is equal to 1 plus minus the square root all over 2. 1 plus 12 is going to give you 13, and that's surd form, so you can then work it out using your calculator. 1 plus the square root of 13 over 2, or x is equal to 1 minus the square root of 13 over 2. And you simply use a calculator, and you get 2,30, or x is equal to minus 1,30. Okay, people, well, it's time for a practice example. I want you to practice the quadratic equation. You're going to need this in matric. They ask questions on this, so have a go at this practice example.